Hi guys! This week, my main character, Lori, has a bit of a shock in my new novel, Herstory. Here's an excerpt from chapter 1. There are some phrases that have subtlety and layers of meaning to them, but hump day isn't one of them. Hump day, hoots my boss to start off the meeting. Jennifer and I glance at each other and roll our eyes. Not that I mind a sense of humor in research, but since our meetings are always on Wednesdays, the repetition tends to get old. For such a brilliant scientist, Roger has gotten stuck with one joke in his repertoire and can't seem to think of another one. Now he turns to me. What have you got for me, Smalls? Okay, I lied. 2 jokes. He's got 2. Just because my last name is Samaras and I'm 5'0", he's been calling me Smalls since I came to work in the lab 5 years ago. Honestly, I don't mind. He might be slightly goofy, but he's always been a good boss. There's a lot of misogyny in science, even in fertility research, but he's not one of the guys who seems to think that having a vagina is some sort of mental deficiency. I shake my head. Sorry, Roger, I'm still running the tests. The results aren't ready yet. He frowns and glances down at his meeting agenda on his tablet. I thought you said this week. Shrugging, I tell him, that was my best estimate. I hesitate, then add, I could still make it by Friday, but it's looking more likely for next week. Okay, keep me updated. Jennifer? Her smile lacks the anxiety mine had. The results are promising so far. I'll have my report completed by end of day tomorrow. The two of us are friends, but I can't help but feel a bit shown up by Jennifer in this case. The problem with working for any university is raking in the grant money to carry on with our projects. Every year there are more proposals sent in and fewer dollars sent back out. Seems like a never-ending shrinkage. Slow research means slow dollars, and that's always a problem for the department. Good, good, Roger says enthusiastically. Keep up the good work. All of a sudden, he stiffens and bends over in a fit of coughing. Roger? I stand up and hurry over to him. Well, it's odd to touch my boss. I prefer the usual pat on the back of a coughing person trick. I don't know where that impulse comes from, but I've never seen a pat on the back stop a person's coughing. Not once. Yet I still do it automatically. He waves me off, still coughing. Jennifer brings him over a glass of water, but he seems like he's hacking up a lung and can't take a drink. Can't even hold the glass without fear of spilling it, so he waves that off too. After a couple of minutes that feel like forever, Roger finally straightens up slightly and reaches for the water. He coughs, takes a sip, coughs again. His voice when he finally speaks is hoarse. My goodness, he says, I don't know what came over me. I glance up. The air conditioning has just kicked in, low budget, so the thermostat is set quite high, and I gesture up at the fan over Roger's head. Dust? I hazard. We've had our very first warm snap here, so it's likely that it might be the first time this season that the AC has started up. I always get some allergies this time of year, I say. He looks up too, and I can see his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallows noisily. It looks like he's trying to suppress more coughing. I suppose. His voice is skeptical, though. Look, why don't we take this up later, I suggest. Give yourself some time to recover. We can meet tomorrow. The delay might give me more time to update my progress and give Roger a more realistic estimate. In this case, no news is bad news. I don't know. Roger begins coughing again, and he doesn't quite put down the glass fast enough. Water sloshes over the sides and splashes onto the conference table because his hand is shaking so much. I grab the glass from him before he can do more damage. He splashed a big puddle next to his tablet, but I move his electronics out of the way and the screen only gets a few droplets on it. When he can speak again, Roger says, Okay, good point. Let's talk tomorrow. Jennifer looks over at me and I can't read her neutral expression. Perhaps she was hoping to speak more to Roger about her project, but there's no helping it now. He's obviously barely able to keep himself from hacking again. The two of us head back to our respective desks, while Roger coughs his way back to his office. Neither one of us are in the lab today. I have to catch up on paperwork while my experiment is ongoing, and Jennifer has to write up her report. There's the quiet clacking of keys, but no conversation. You know, it would be nice to have a female boss, Jennifer says out of the blue after about an hour or so has passed. I glance up, having become immersed in an email I'm returning about a paper I'm co-authoring with a professor from UC Berkeley. We're in the editing stage and the ball's in my court, but I haven't been able to work on the revisions. Huh? I say, my mind trying to catch up with my ears. Then they do. What do you mean? When she doesn't answer me, I frown at her. Do you know something I don't? Is Roger transferring to another university? But Jennifer just shrugs and turns back to her computer. That's odd. After a second of staring at her profile, I realize she's not going to offer anything more. Geez, that was weird. I head back into the world of fertility research. We're isolating certain birth defects that are transferable and trying to break the cycle using in vitro mRNA technology. If we can make it succeed, it could save thousands of lives of unborn children. The usual solution to a massive birth defect is a planned abortion and trying again. However, that's traumatic on the mother, and we're trying to find a workaround. If we can stop the buck with us, we'll do it. At 5 o'clock, I glance up as Jennifer stands and starts shoveling things into her purse. Looks like she's taking several files to work on at home. It's a little frowned upon. Hard copies are supposed to stay in the lab, but I don't say anything. I've done the same thing myself a time or two. It'd be highly hypocritical of me to hold her to task. She catches my eye as she turns to go. Be seeing you, she says. There's a finality to her voice. I'm not sure why, but the tone strikes me as odd. Also the fact she's leaving at 5. Of course, that's the time we're supposed to head home, but it's seldom when the office empties out. We're not in this business for the big bucks, that's for sure. See you, I echo as she walks away. Maybe I should take a page out of her book and leave at a normal time, I think. But then I start scrolling through my notes and get caught up in my paper. The next time I raise my eyes, the windows are dark outside and the ticking clock is not my friend. 9 o'clock. The cleaners will be here soon. I better get going. Unlike Jennifer, I shelve all my folders for today. I'll be back here early, and it's not like I'll be doing any work at home. My brain is mush after a long day. I push the lock on the inside of the office door and close the door behind me, twisting the knob to check. Force of habit, sometimes the latch doesn't stick, and our department can't afford new pencils, let alone new computers if something is stolen. Starting down the darkened hallway, the lights flicker on as I walk. I realize I must be the last person here. Again. It's a bad habit, and I need to break it. Except, what's this? Roger's office light is still on, which is odd, and his door is open a crack. That's really unlike him, but perhaps he simply forgot to shut it. I should check on his office just in case. I knock in case he's still hard at work, but there's no answer as I expected. He can be as absent-minded as the rest of us, so I suppose it makes sense that he forgot to lock up. I'll let him know tomorrow about it. Pushing open the door, I'm hit by a stomach-churning odor that I've never smelled before. It's a combination of gas station bathroom and the iron tang of blood. And what I see sitting in Roger's chair, holy shit. It looks like a cartoon. It's so unrealistic. Barely the figure of a man, the face swollen, the eyes open and puffed out like marshmallows. His tongue is blue and sticking out of his mouth, his skin riddled with blood-oozing sores. If I didn't know any better, I'd think this was some sort of sick joke. But the smell isn't a joke. Without even seeing that his chest isn't rising and falling, I know this person is dead. And horrifically, I know who it is. Sitting in Roger's chair, wedding band on his swollen finger cutting into the puffy flesh, the same blue polo shirt he was wearing earlier, now streaked by bodily fluids. This is my boss, and he is, clearly, quite dead. And that's a hard discovery for Laurie to recover from. But this is a dystopian story, so you better believe it gets a lot worse for her, and for the world too. Next week, I'm going to move from this serious story to something lighter, a character with wings. Tune in tomorrow to see what I mean.